الحمد لله الذي نور العقول بالعلم ونور القلوب بذكره ونور النفوس بالاتصال بحضرة سبحانه وتعالى، والصلاة والسلام على الذي أرسله الله بالنور بمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آل الأطهار وأصحاب الأخيار وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم في شأن شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن إلى آخر الآيات. صدق الله العظيم. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في شأنه شهر أتاكم شهر مبارك إلى آخر الحديث، أو كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا زدنا علما وارزقنا فهما. All praises are definitely due to Allah, the sole sustainer of the entire universe. The most gracious and the most merciful is He. And we send abundant blessings and salutations upon the cream of creation, the one whom He has sent with the light of guidance, none other than Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And we send peace and blessings and salutations upon His noble and beloved family members. And we send peace and blessings upon His noble companions, the Ashara Mubashara, the 10 that which has been given glad tidings of Jannah in this world. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for us and not to make it difficult. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High is He, to grant us all knowledge and grant us all understanding. Ameen thumma ameen. My dear esteemed and handsome brothers, beautiful sisters in Islam and faith, indeed, as our beloved Messenger Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned, and he says that a month has come to you that which is blessed. And alhamdulillah, praise is due to Him who have manifested and made you and I witness this month. And for indeed this month is connected to the Holy Quran. As Allah has mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. But indeed the month of Ramadan is where the Quran has revealed in. So you have to ask yourselves how much you have attained from the Quran thus far. You and I have to ask ourselves how much of connection we have made with the Quran thus far. How much of verses we have read from the Quran. How much of verses we have listened from the Quran. If this is the month the Quran has been revealed and you haven't touched or picked up the Quran or read a verse, then I don't think you and I understand the virtues of this month. My dear esteemed and revered gathering, this brings me to the topic of discussion, which is the last request of our last and final messenger Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. عن علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله تعالى عنه قال: لما نزلت إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح. Hazrat Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, said that when Allah revealed, when the help came and the conquering of Makkah was granted victory to the Muslims from Surah Al-Nasr. When إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ is revealed, مرض رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم became sick. He became ill. فلبث أن خرج إلى الناس لوصيته. So after his propagation, he went out to his people to grant them a last request. فنادى ببلال. So he announced and he called for Hazrat Bilal radiallahu ta'ala, Allah be pleased with him. Who was Hazrat Bilal? He was the mu'adhin at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he was known for his loud voice. So he called for Hazrat Bilal. So فنادى Bilal. So Bilal came. And he informed Hazrat Bilal radiallahu ta'ala and to call out to all the people of Medina. So Hazrat Bilal radiallahu ta'ala went out and he called out to every single person in Medina to Munawwara. صغيرهم وكبيرهم, from the old of them and from the young of them. All of them came rushing to listen to the last request of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All of them came rushing to listen to the request of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فاجتمعوا, and all of them were gathered in the masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some of them rushing so much so, leaving their houses open, mufattiha abwab, leaving the doors of their houses open, because when they heard the announcement of the last request of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they fled and they rushed out. And all of them who were in the business places, when they heard the announcement of Hazrat Bilal that this is the last request of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they left their businesses in whatever state, whatever situation it was in. And all of them flocked to the masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to listen to his last request. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam then went upon his mimbar and he placed his head and leaned on it, and you could have seen the severeness in his face, leaning against the pulpit. ثم جلس عليه, and then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sat upon the pulpit, sat upon the mimbar. تدمع عينيه, and he had tears in his eyes. He had tears in his eyes flowing profusely. فقام النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, then the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم stood up upon his pulpit. فقال, and then he said, سعوا وراءكم, strive, keep on striving, and those behind you, let them strive as well. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up from the pulpit, فَيَبْكِي لِلَّهِ, he started to cry for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High is. وَيَسْتَرْجِعُوا, and then he proclaimed, إِنَّ لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّ إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ, verily we belong to Allah and unto Him is our return. فَحَمِدَ اللَّهِ, and then he praised Allah. وَأَثْنَى عَلَيْهِ, and then he glorified Allah. وَصَلَّى عَلَى النَّبِيِّ, and he sent salutations upon all of the prophets. وَصَلُّوا عَلَى نَفْسِهِ, and then he sent salutations upon himself. فَقَالَ, when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ, O people, O gathering, be aware, be mindful, في محكم whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in the Quran. This is the month of Quran. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, be aware. Do not become heedless of the muhkamat, the laws, the proofs that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made in the Quran for you and I. Then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam continues and he says that indeed he have made it permissible. And he also have made that which is forbidden haram upon you. So be aware. Be aware of these things which Allah has made permissible in the Quran and which He has made forbidden in the Quran. But how you and I can know what is permissible for us and what is haram for us if we don't pick up the Quran? Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam rafa'a ra'sahu ila as-sama'i. Then he raised his head towards the direction of the sky and he proclaimed, Allahumma balagatu, oh Allah, have I not conveyed your message? Fashhad, bear witness. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam continues, Ayyuhan nas, O people, Iyyakum hadhihi al-ahwal dalah. Be aware of these misguided desires. Be wary, be mindful, be aware of these misguided desires. مُضِلَّ بَعِيدًا مِنَ اللَّهِ. For indeed it is misleading and it is far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High is He. What are these misguided desires? These misguided desires is our ego. These misguided desires is our lust. These misguided desires is that which we think is better for us. And each one of us, you and I, all of our desires are different. All of our lusts are different. But be wary of it. Be mindful of it. For indeed, مُضِلَّ بَعِيدًا مِنَ اللَّهِ. It will take you far away and it will be misleading from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ, and from paradise and from heaven. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam continues and he says, إِيَّاكُمْ, be wary, be mindful of these desires. These vain desires, these vain needs and wants. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam continues and he says that indeed the one who is far away from it, قَرِيبٌ إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ, is close to paradise. When you are far away from your ego, when you're far away from the desires that are lustful for you and bad for you, then you become closer to Jannah, قريب إلى الله, and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma balagtu, oh Allah, have I not conveyed your message? Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, O gathering, Ati'u mawla umurakum. Obey those who are in authority over you. This is the Prophet sallallahu last few verses. The Prophet sallallahu says, Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, obey those who are in authority over you, so long as it does not command you to do wrong. So long they do not command you to do illicit action. So long they do not command you to do evil. You obey them. وَلَا تَبْغَضُهُمْ, and you do not anger them. You do not make them become angry. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, look, O people, be wary and follow those who are in authority over you. And you do not anger them. You do not have animosity against them. فَمَنَ أَبْغَضَهُمْ, and whosoever angers them, أَبْغَضَنِي, has angered the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And man abghadani, whosoever angers the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, abghad Allah, has angered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam continues and says, Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, O gathering, ati'u umurakum, obey those in authority. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam continues and says, Allahumma ballaghtu, O Allah, have I not conveyed your message? O Allah, have I not conveyed your message? Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam continues and says, Ayyuhan nas, O people, O gathering, hubbu alaykum bil Quran. Upon you is to love the people of Quran. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said what? Alaykum bihubbil Quran. Upon you is to love the people of the Quran. Those who read the Quran, those who teach the Quran, those who learn the Quran. It is your duty to love them. It is your right to love them. And this is the month of Quran. But we don't even want to pick up the Quran. How can we love the people of Quran? How can we love the learners of Quran? How can we love the teachers of Quran if we don't care about Quran? It's ajib, it's surprising. Huh? Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says again, Ayyuhan nas, O people, alaykum bihamalatil Quran. Upon you is to love those who have memorized the Quran, the hufaz, those people who protect the Quran. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam continues and he says, وَحُبُّ عُلَمَائِكُمْ. And upon you is to love your ulama, to love your scholars. Yeah? This is the last request of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, upon you it is your duty to love your ulama, to love your scholars. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, وَلَا تَبْغَضَهُمْ. And do not anger them. And do not anger them. وَلَا تَحَسَّدُهُمْ. And do not have enmity for them. Do not have jealousy for them. وَلَا تَدْعِنُ فِيهِمْ. And do not curse them. Do not slander them. How many of us, when it comes to our ulama, of our scholars, we slander them? Huh? How many of us, with regards to our ulama, of our scholars, those people who guide us, those people who teach us, those people who make us better Muslims for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High, huh? This is the last request of who? Not me. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says what? Hubbu ulama'ukum. To have love for your ulama. Do not anger them. Do not have jealousy for them. Do not slander them. And ta'an is a word that means for all type of slandering and backbiting and gossip. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam continues and he says, look, Man ahabbahum. Whosoever loves the ulama, ahabbani, has loved me. وَمَنْ أَحَبَّنِي, and whosoever loves the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أَحَبَّ اللَّهِ, has loved Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High. So by loving the ulama, you are loving Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. By loving Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you are loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam continues and he says, مَنْ أَبَغَضَهُ. Whosoever angers the ulama, أَبَغَضَنِي, has angered me. And man abghadani, whosoever has angered the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, abghad Allah, has angered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High. See the chain? And this is the last request of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allahumma balaghtu, oh Allah, I have conveyed my message. The Prophet continues it, Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, O gathering, addiyu zakata amwalakum. Upon you is your duty from your wealth to pay your alms. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ayyuhan nas, O people, addu zakat amwalikum. Upon you is to pay your duty from your wealth. So long Allah has bestowed you with wealth. So long Allah subhanahu has given you sustenance. And that has passed the minimum nisab, which is the threshold of your wealth. Then therefore you have to calculate it annually. 1 year upon the time it reached when you got it, and upon the time it has ended. Most of the time, many of us, we wait till Ramadan to pay for more rewards. But it does not calculate like this. Zakat is calculated from one point of the year to the other point of the year. So if you attain your wealth in January, for example, or in Dhul Hijjah, for example, in the Islamic month, then therefore, in the other year in Dhul Hijjah, you have to pay. But we delay to pay the Ramadan. And the ulama said there's nothing wrong in that. But the Prophet ﷺ, so long as you have attained that minimum threshold, which whether it be in gold, and many times as well, we start to calculate in silver. There's no need to calculate in silver no more. Because every single man will have to pay. Because silver is 33,100. Everyone have accumulated this in account for the year. So you have to calculate in gold. So no more silver. And the Prophet ﷺ pay your zakat. Then the Prophet ﷺ said the reason now if you don't pay. He says, مَنْ لَمْ يُؤْذِنْ زَكَاةَ لَهُ. The one who does not pay his zakat, فَلَا صَلَاةَ لَهُ. Then there is no salah for him. There is no prayer for him. وَلَا حَجَّ لَهُ. And there is no hajj for him. وَلَا صَوْمَهُ. And there is no fasting for him. But the one who does not pay the zakat, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is saying what? There is no prayer for that individual. There is no hajj for that individual. There is no fasting for that individual. And if there is no prayer for him, فَلَا دِينَ لَهُ. There is no religion for him. He has no Islam. So the ulama have commented on this part of the hadith, of this last request of the Prophet ﷺ, that meaning that the person who outrightly rejected to pay his zakat, for indeed he becomes a disbeliever. The one who rightly rejected and said, I don't need to pay this. Why am I paying this? Who outrightly says this, then there is no religion for him. Some of us, we don't pay our zakat, we go for hajj, we perform our salah, we want to fast in the month of Ramadan. But what did the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say? The one who does not pay, فَلَا صَلَاةَ لَهُ. You have no prayer, my brother. فَلَا زَكَاةَ فَلَا حَجَّ لَهُ. There is no hajj for you, brother. فَلَا صَوْمَ لَهُ. There is no fasting for you, brother. All the time you've been fasting and you're not paying your zakat in the month of Ramadan. Hey, that fast was useless, not unquote. And then the Prophet continues, وَلَا جِهَادَ لَهُ. And there is no striving for him in the path of Islam. Whatever charity you give, the $100, the $200, whatever you give it away of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you did not pay your zakat, then that striving in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes useless. This is the last will of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the last request. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahumma balightu. Oh Allah, have I not conveyed your message? Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam continues and says, Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, inna Allah farada Allah al-hajj. Verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made hajj compulsory upon you. فَمَنْ اسْتَطَعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. For the one who is able, for the one who is capable to do so. The capabilities is finance and health. If you have health and finance, then therefore hajj becomes obligatory upon you. And then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, فَمَنْ لَمْ يَحِجْ. The one who does not go for hajj, whilst he has the health and the finance, فَلْيَمُتْ. And he dies. عَلِي شَاء. Let him choose whatever situation he wants to die. And Nasraniya, as a Jew, or a Christian, or Majusan, or a fire worshipper. Yeah? You had the means to go for Hajj, yeah? The health, and you had the finance, but you delay it so and so, saying, oh, next year I will go, next year I will go, I have so much of things to put in place, I have my family to put in place, but you had it, and then Allah snatched your soul. Malakul Maut, the angel of death, takes your soul. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that Allah, let them choose whatever state you want to die. From whom? The Christians, or the Jews, or the fire worshippers. Meaning what? You die in a state of disbelief. This is what it means. Because you had the means. My dear esteemed brothers and sisters in Islam, then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Allahumma balightu, oh Allah, have I not conveyed your message? Then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ya ayyuhan nas, oh people, Allah, Allah, by Allah, by Allah, fin nisa, concerning your women folk, concerning your women folk, your daughters, your sisters, your wives, your aunties, your mothers, concerning them. Give them the full due. This is with regards to your spouse and wife, with the mahar. Because people just get nikah without paying the mahar to their wife. Even some among the Shia, they don't pay the mahar. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Dawah, Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, concerning your women folk, give them their right. وَلَا تَظْلِمُوهُنَّ, and do not oppress them. Do not oppress them. When we out in the masjid, we become pious. But when we are home, we are monsters. To our daughters, to our wives, to our mothers, their children who are disrespectful to their mothers. They are children who hate their mothers. They are children who disrespect their fathers. What did the Prophet say? He said, Ya ayyuhan nas, Allah, Allah, by Allah, fin nisa, concerning your woman folk. Give them the due right. Do not oppress them. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hadith Aisha radiallahu ta'ala, may Allah be pleased with her, she said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam never hit or never struck any of his wives, nor any of his servants, nor anything. Yeah? How many of us can say this? Probably now we are old, we don't fight as much. But we have to make tawbah, repentance for this, for disrespecting our wife. Huh? For dishonoring our daughters. For dishonoring our mothers. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, what? Allahumma balightu, oh Allah, have I not conveyed your message? And then Hadith Ali radiallahu ta'ala, Allah be pleased with him. He says, ثُمَّ نَزَلَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. Then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came down from the pulpit, came down from the mimbar, وَإِنِّي قَادِرٌ إِلَى مَنْزِلِي. And then he went into his house, and we never saw him after that. And we never saw him after that. Meaning, the Prophet ﷺ passed away. This was the last request of our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. My dear esteemed brothers and sisters in Islam, there's so much we can learn from this last request of our beloved, the last and final messenger of Islam. All of these characteristics that when she discussed 1445 years ago, today we are not implementing it. Today we are not implementing it. Because we have no regards for Quran. If we have no regards for Quran, we can never have regards for those who uphold the Quran. And if we have no regards for those who uphold the Quran, we can never have regards for those in authority. And if we have no regards for those in authority, then the entire world will be in dismay. What is going on right now? The entire world is dismayed. And min alamat as-sa'ah, and this is from the hour of the time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the true nobility of this month of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who carry the Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who listen to the Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who teach the Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who respect those who teach the Quran, المؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات إنه الغفور الرحيم.